Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly. And nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours. And our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all. Thank you. So this is January 6th. And these are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutation?
Full pardon. We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research.
Okay.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you, sir.
So this is a big one. Anything you want to explain about this? We hope they get them. We hope they come out tonight, frankly.
All right. Now, I'm not going to age you, but you've been through more presidents than I have. Have you seen any president fulfill as many campaign promises on day one in your life?
No, of course not. The whole thing was surreal, Eric, in a good way. I mean, it was just crazy, man. I mean, when he was flinging the magic markers into the crowd, I mean, I mean, usually the ass kissers and the brown noses surround LBJ or they surround Nixon and they get the precious pen. Here he, copies of the pen. They would sign one letter at a time, President Richard, and then you give each person a pen for each letter almost of your name. He's flinging them out there like he did those bounty towels in Puerto Rico. I mean, wow.
It's like a rock concert.
No, but I'm saying you talk about unpomposity, and populace and MAGA. The flinging of those magic markers. I mean, I was taken aback. I was watching Fox, and they didn't know what to say. Like, Brit Hume, well, I've never seen anything quite like this, Bob. This is really a precedent.
That's great. And okay, he did not hit 100%, but by God, he's got the majority of them. And people are saying, well, what about Ross Ulbricht? Well, from what I understand, Ross Ulbricht is coming. His commutation apparently is underway. I'm not sure. And there are other, issues that he's got to negotiate. Like, I forget which one it was. Something about the civil service job reworking that started, but obviously you can't finish that in a day. The TikTok,
I have no complaints.
Negotiated, so
yeah, I have no complaints about anything. I mean, I wept openly twice. I wept at the signing when he did that, and then I wept, when he was being sworn in, and I just started crying because of the incredible 4 years you and I and everybody that watches this show and everybody in the country has been through for 4 years. I just started sobbing because of the release of how much pain we've been through as a nation, and the wonder and the beauty that this criminal fucking mutt had to sit there and listen to him being savaged by Donald Trump was worth the price of admission just for that. To let this piece of shit sit there and squirm in his own urine and feces that were coming out of his ass was worth it. I just started crying because of the release of all the emotion and all the pent up rage that we've had for 4 years, and going back to 2016, the lying, the deceit, the criminality, the pardons by Biden, which I suggest should be challenged by the Attorney General. You know, I wanted to ask something about the pardons, not the J6 pardons, the pardons of the J6 committee, and why this has to be challenged. The family has to be challenged. The pardons to Fauci have to be challenged. The pardons to Mark Milley have to be challenged. And I'll tell you why. If this is allowed to stand, if this precedent is allowed to stand, day one on a presidential term, he could designate a designated hitter. And what I mean by a designated hitter is a guy who is going to do absolutely outright criminal activity from the day he's delegated to do this by the president as his literal hitman and be pardoned without any criminal investigation, without any activity at the end of the administration. He could have pardoned the entire Democratic Party, Eric, if he chose to, based on their logic. And he chose to pardon an entire congressional committee filled with Democrats. And yet he could have pardoned the entire city of New York based on this logic, Eric. This cannot be allowed to stand, bro. This has to go to SCOTUS to be resolved as soon as humanly possible. I know he's got a lot of stuff on his plate, but these pre-pardons where no crime has been resolved, adjudicated, brought, indicted, settled, cannot be allowed to stand. He could pardon the entire state of California if he wants to, based on that. And the rumors that he was going to pardon the illegal aliens, I'm sure they kicked that around and figured it was a bridge too far.
So how many draft dodgers did Jimmy Carter pardon?
I don't know the exact number, but the point of the matter is nobody challenged it in the Supreme Court. And this has to be challenged. This cannot be allowed to stand. I just wanted to get that out because it's, you know, it's one thing to pardon your son who was convicted. Totally fine. I'm totally fine with that. His son was convicted. He went to trial. That's what the presidential pardons are for. Pardoning those federal people on death row, God bless you. That's your call. You can't pardon your entire family who's never been convicted, indicted, or anything based on the fact that it's going to lead back to you or these other people. You know, Fauci, I mean, give me a break. This is crazy, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's it's a tough balance. And Fauci, I don't like it. I mean, the J6 committee, I don't like it. I'm not sure about it, though, because, I mean, technically that's what happened with Nixon, is he was pardoned before any charges could have been brought against him. So the precedent is there.
No, but the precedent's really not there because nobody challenged it. What I'm saying is neither the Carter nor Nixon affairs, quote unquote, were challenged. This has to be challenged. They will do this again and again and again. You can't allow this to stand because of their nefarious nature. They will abuse the shit out of this if this is allowed to stand the next time they come back, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, well, and there is, I think, specific concerns, most of all by his family, in the sense of if you're pardoning people it's almost like reverse RICO, if that makes any sense. Yeah. That's kind of what I feel like he's doing with his family. Yeah. Some of the other ones where it's touch and go or whatever, I think Fauci's closer to a Nixon, even though I can't stand Fauci, obviously. I'm hoping that there's a way for people to wriggle state charges against Fauci, possibly, because people were harmed in all 50 states. One would hope that there's some attorney generals that have some juice and can maybe go after him. Other means.
I agree with you. If Fauci was convicted, I would say, God bless you, pardoning Fauci. He was not convicted. He was not charged. He was not indicted. You can't do this. This is not an American way to do this. This must be resolved. Look, here's a case where they violated 2 Supreme Court rulings on student loan repayment and student debts. He literally told SCOTUS to go F themselves. 2 times the Supreme Court ruled, and the Supreme Court took it and said, oh, well, what are we going to do? I mean, you can't get rid of an entire institution by ignoring them. There's a lot of there's a lot of good saying involving the Supreme Court in the court, into the system of the United States, into the political fray, instead of ostracizing them and putting them out. And by the way, didn't John Roberts screw up the Obama swearing in? Do you remember that?
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay, because people in the chat, if you remember how he misread the oath of office, it had to be done later under the cover of darkness.
Oh,
And
I think I heard.
come on, Eric, you remember this?
I remember hearing about it. I don't remember
yeah.
actually seeing it and putting it together.
I was afraid for John Roberts that he was going to do it again.
No, okay. Well, I wasn't really a fan of Obama, so I was probably just going.
But it was such a debacle. It was such a debacle. They literally had to go inside the rotunda later that night. Somebody said, "You're going to have to redo this."
Yeah, well, Roberts kind of did it a little bit here too, because people are like, "Is it true he didn't have his hand on the Bible?" It's like they didn't get the Bible to him in time because Roberts rushed the stupid thing. There, Melania's
There's
like
something wrong with him. There's something wrong with him.
Yeah,
He
Melania
can't
was
even
trying to get
swear
the Bible
someone in.
there.
Yeah.
She was trying to
Wow.
get the Bible under his hand, and
Yeah.
people are like, making an association. He's trying to, I mean, come on, guys.
Well, he's 2 for 2.
Yeah. Who knows? It's just, it is insane. And the irony is he technically did not have to be sworn in. He
No.
could have just taken office because he already has been sworn in, already has given an oath of office for that position. You don't necessarily have to do every single time. I think it's good to, just for the spectacle.
Well, it's ceremonial. I mean, there's no harm
Sure.
in doing it,
Now, speaking of ceremonial, what do you think about the going indoors? I think that was actually the right call.
Yeah, I don't. It's a minor thing now. I mean, history's not going to. I mean, Reagan went indoors in '84. The second one was indoors, so it's not unprecedented to do it indoors. I thought it was more intimate, actually. I thought the fact that they were sitting there around him, that group, it was so tense, Hunley. I mean, it just seemed like you could cut the tension with a knife, and there's goofy old George Bush. He doesn't even know where he was, George Bush, making, hey, Obama.
Where's
You know what I
Michelle?
mean? Where's your wife now? Boy, what a crew. But the guy who was studying Trump the most, and later on, Trump mentioned this, was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was riveted to everything Trump was saying. He wasn't gabbing away with anybody. He wasn't even talking to his wife. And later on, Trump said some positive things about Bill Clinton later in the night.
Game appreciates game.
Yes.
I have talked to people who have met them both, and multiple people have said that the most charismatic people in the world they've ever come across, like just pure forces of nature, are Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. And
very similar, bro. Very similar.
It's they're similar and they're different, but both of them just suck all the oxygen out of the room wherever they are automatically. And
it's funny. Bill Clinton said in one of his memoirs, I read that said the strangest thing in his life post-president was to walk into a room and not hear "Hail to the Chief." Yeah. Do you remember that? Or
yes. Yeah. And then I talked about the movie with James Garner and oh God, I forgot the other guy, Jack Lemmon. I think it was about the presidents, and they talked about changing the lyrics to "Hail to the Chief," "Hail to the Chief," and they each changed the lyrics. It was kind of a funny movie. My Fellow Americans.
Well, that whole event last night was just crazy. I mean, when he had the sword cutting the cake at the ball.
Did you see him dancing with that sword?
I don't know what was going on.
Oh my God. And even JD's kind of going, okay, boss.
Well, look, the two soldiers in the back were stone-faced, just standing there as they're supposed to do.
But Trump was messing with her like, come on.
And he's just waving that sword around. Man, oh man, I thought it went off the rails at that point. But did he ever cut the cake with the sword? I never even saw that.
I don't know. I only saw it was great.
There were so many crazy events yesterday. My head is still spinning. It really is. There was it seems like a dream sequence out of a movie or something.
Well, think of what this guy did in one day. I mean, I would have fallen over, dead in half of the activities he did, and he's 78.
Right.
I mean,
it really is shocking. The guy's a beast. And how about to go to the prayer breakfast to listen to that dyke this morning, that commie dyke? I mean, first of all, whoever set that up should be fired because they never should have walked into that trap. But he should have stood up and said something out loud to her, face to face. That's what I would have liked to have seen, saying, "Ma'am, I will discuss this with you privately, if you would like to arrange it, but this is not the public forum right now, and taking his whole group and walked out. What
Honestly,
a nasty piece of shit.
I think it was shock. I think he was just in shock. Like,
Did you see
Melania?
Melania's face? You wanted to kill her.
Well, look at, it's a prayer, for God's sake, and you're trapped in this, look.
In the name of our God.
Oh no, please,
I ask
please,
you.
I can't take it. I can't, don't play
Have
it
mercy
again.
upon the people
Have mercy on us,
in our
Eric.
country.
No, stop,
We're scared
please. I
now.
can't go on. I can't go on. This
She-
piece of shit. Look at Melania's face. Look at Melania. I mean, this is someone.
Here,
who
I'll
wants to
mute it,
kill-
and we can.
Oh, yeah.
There, you won't have to listen to her. You can just
Oh, I
watch
can't
their
listen
faces.
to her. I cannot listen to her.
And JD Vance's reaction. I mean,
People
he
are
was doing-
stunned. I think
yeah,
they're
but
stunned.
he's doing the Tim Waltz. What the?
What the fuck is going on here?
And Trump is just sitting there stone faced. I mean,
Well, let me ask you something. Didn't somebody, what's called, a guy who prearranges these things, an advance man, have to go in there and set this up and not realize that this is what was going to happen? I don't understand how this type of event could have happened.
And she's a known quantity.
Of course.
In 2020, no, there's video of her talking
Yeah.
about removing Trump.
Yeah.
We
But
got to
why
get rid
would
of
you
Trump.
go in there? Why?
And I mean, this should be a scandal on the highest proportions. You know what this tells me is whatever church that is, it's been completely infiltrated and taken over.
But you don't go
by
in there.
psychos.
I agree.
And no, I'm just saying it's terrible because there's probably really great people.
Yeah.
And that's their religion. And it's almost like the Pope might be a bad example because a lot of people don't care for what he's been up to. He's pretty controversial, but do you think this would go over in a Catholic church?
I don't think it would go over in a synagogue where, his daughter is Jewish and his son-in-law is Jewish. I don't think he'd walk into a synagogue and have some rabbi like Jonathan. I couldn't imagine that. Only these Episcopal maniacs who seem to be like it goes back to Daniel Berrigan in my memory. The Berrigan brothers were, I think, I don't know, maybe they were Catholic priests. Maybe I take that back. But this radical priesthood, radical religion, lefty socialist mirage goes back as far as I remember to Vietnam War protests, where certain people like the Berrigan brothers were leading these anti-war movement protests.
Yeah, agree. And then we have a follow-up on it. You shared this, and this has been going around, and it's kind of making me and other people crazy. Elon Musk about the Trump's victory being a fork in the road of human civilization, which of course has gotten the headline of the day that's been going all around and around and around, whether he did a salute to a World War II figure.
Oh, what are you wasting their time for? I mean, it's a waste of time. This is no, I'm serious. No offense.
No, it's bullshit. I mean,
of course, but why perpetuate it? I mean, it's just such a bullshit charge. They're grasping at straws at this point, Eric. And no reflection on you with the clip or anything. I'm just saying.
It's I've heard actually from at least one of our fans, and I'm disgusted about it.
Yeah.
This is a guy. Now, keep in mind, Barton's just pointed out how much he's put at risk. Another issue I have is that this is a guy that is being called a disgusting pig Zionist who is so in the pocket of Israel and in love. And it's like, well, dude, he's a pretty bad Zionist if that's this. Make up your mind here, folks.
They don't have to make up their mind because they're all over the freaking map. I mean, this guy, Blumenthal from Connecticut and Murphy from Connecticut and these people up there, they're grasping at straws. This train is rolling over them, Eric. This MAGA train is rolling them over on the road. They're just yelling shit out now at random times during the day. He signed that executive order about birthright citizenship, which both of us knew would be contested in the courts.
He said it when he was signing.
Right.
He was like,
they battled to get out faster than the other one. Attorney General of Washington State winning the medal for going to sue over this particular executive order. So he gets a booby prize from the Democratic Carnival for being the first guy out of the gate. You know, this is their game now. It's
Mhm.
lawfare 2.0. They have nothing else.
Well, and you know what? I'm kind of glad that they're using the same playbook. And
Yeah.
and one thing I think it was might have been Halperin actually who said that this is advantageous for Trump because now he's got like an equally large size target in Elon Musk that if Musk does anything, it draws as equal
Yep.
number of headlines. So
Yep.
that's probably beneficial for Trump. He's
Yep.
probably like, oh,
I agree.
good. Half the ink is spilling over here
Yep.
versus on me. So fair enough.
I
Now,
wish it would spill over onto others, you know, also like JD Vance and others who can take incoming fire away from him and spread it out. Because the more it's spread out, the more it's going to be diluted, if that makes any sense.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And JD Vance has proven himself more than capable
Yeah.
of doing this.
There's so many stories that fell under the radar. Maybe we could cover the under the radar stories. The pardoning of Marcus Garvey, which completely under the radar. The pardoning of Leonard Pelletier, the guy who killed 2 FBI agents, the Native American guy, Pelletier, also under the radar. There's a lot of stuff under the radar because there was so much news, Eric.
Yeah, it wasn't just Trump who flooded the zone. Biden obviously did as well.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, not under the radar as much. But we were talking about Elon, so I wanted to cover it. You know, Vivek appears he is out at DOGE, but I kind of had a feeling if he was going to run for governor of Ohio, when's he going to be running?
Mm-hmm.
When I think the election is like 2025. Literally this year.
Good point.
He's going to be sort of busy. And where is he more effective? As a loyal state governor or in a department that Elon Musk is going to rule with an iron hand any damn way, most likely.
Right. There's too many people. I mean, he's got a staff of 20. From what Trump said, they're going to give offices somewhere in the building to the staff of Musk that's going to be doing the day-to-day, not Musk himself. And then Vivek can do this. It would be overkill. You're right.
Yeah. And he'd be a better governor than who's there right now.
DeWine, you're talking about. Yeah, DeWine. I mean, Ohio's so weird, man. Ohio's so weird, but not as weird as California. We still take the cake. She's back now, you know. She's back. She's in her house. She's in her house. She went straight to the fire department to give out sandwiches or something with her husband, the former first, second man. She's back. She's got another pantsuit. And let's see what happens on Friday. I am very excited about Friday. Freeform Friday. Trump is coming out to LA, going to land with Air Force One at LAX, make his way not too far to Pacific Palisades, which is literally pretty close. Who knows what's going to happen with Newsom? Maybe Newsom will jump out of a helicopter. Kamala Harris may attempt to get there. Karen Bass may attempt to get there. This is just mind-boggling because he wants to own this moment, Trump. And I'm curious to see how this is going to play out as a media event on Friday.
I'm pretty sure he will. By the way, you mentioned her pantsuit.
Yeah.
I have to bring it up because everybody's been going crazy about the fashion during the inauguration. So you had two standout. I mean, obviously, everybody thought Melania Trump had the greatest hat ever made.
Yeah.
It looked fine. She was fine. Very stylish, but it was like, okay. But then you had Sanchez.
Oh, yeah. That was bad.
Come on, dude. I'm just like, Jeff. I mean, that's what's wrong between her. You also had Fetterman, who was like, screw that. But
wait, I didn't show him. No,
he was wearing this. No, he wore Fetterman. It was like Temple. It's like,
what was he wearing? What was he wearing?
He was wearing his damn sweat shorts, and
something wrong with this guy.
That's the only way he dresses now. That's how he showed up. And then the other really interesting one that got pinged on the side was Kamala Harris. And if you looked, her outfit was like a Maoan, uniform. Quite, literally, in my opinion, looked just like she was reporting back.
Was she
to
wearing
China.
like black sneakers at the bottom of that? Did you see
I'm not
her
sure.
foot? Did anybody see her footwear? I thought she was wearing like black sneakers of some sort.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is perfect. He was wearing his good shorts and hoodie.
That's funny. That's funny. Dude, he's a strange guy. He's now denying that he's switching parties, but there's rumors flying around that some random Democrat is switching parties from the Senate. And it's not him. It's not him.
Yeah. I'm trying to think
because somebody knows, but they're not saying. It's supposed to be later this week.
I can't see Fetterman switching parties because
he denies it vehemently.
No, but he has more power as a Manchin character,
right?
Because he can be the right end of the Democrats and be the anti-squad types or whatever. So you've got Elizabeth Warren and the maniacs. And then you have Fetterman, who's somewhat reasonable, and he can bridge more. It could be more like a McCain figure.
I think it's some random dude that you would never think of. Some like weird guy that you don't even know. Like, did you see what Halpern was doing when he asked him to name the governor of Delaware? And nobody got it.
Oh no!
On two-way this morning, he said, "I'll give you a giant bag of Twizzlers if any of you could name the governor of Delaware." And
I can't.
And I couldn't. It was some weird name. But go ahead. That being said, there's also tonight is going to drop the Eric Adams Tucker interview, which I hear is fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Pieces I think have been coming out. I haven't seen it yet, but people are saying that Tucker's not taking his BS or something. So I'm like, it might be contentious. I don't know.
There are parts that are contentious, from what I understand. Adams has never really been challenged because he kind of street bullshits his way out of shit in these pressers. But one-on-one, he rarely sits down for an interview.
Yeah,
but I think he's trying to. He went to the inaugural last night. Mm-hmm. He took so much incoming Negro fire for skipping Martin Luther King Day, which, by the way, you talk about karma. How many stories were there about Martin Luther King Day yesterday? Zero.
You know what, though? That is one missed opportunity for Trump, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, he did so many, but I do think it would have been just mind-blowing if he signed an executive order to release all documents on the Martin Luther King assassination on Martin Luther King Day. I agree. And I wish he did that, and I wish he did the Kennedy, the dual Kennedys at the convention center. Like, when he was throwing the pins, he could have done a splash. So I don't know why he didn't.
I don't know.
Plenty. I'm not.
Yeah, he did plenty. I mean, there was quite a bit. I mean, the one of the first ones he signed was never again on Inauguration Day shall the American flag be lowered to half staff. I don't know if you caught that one. Dude, that was like number 6 or something, Eric.
There was a lot.
That was like a great one. That was dude. And how about the taking down of the Mark Milley portrait?
Oh, I love that.
Just get it out of here.
Oh, he also named him. He's fired. Oh, by the way, okay, there's another one too. The 51 security clearances.
Oh, that
plus
was great.
John Bolton.
That was great.
I love that he put John Bolton in with that crowd, though. The symbolism there. Oh, and now he's had his Secret Service detail removed.
Yeah. Okay. So the guy is supposed to become the head of the Secret Service. The head of his detail is supposed to become the head of Secret Service. I don't know when that happens. That's been confirmed by Crabtree. I think it's a confirmation job. Okay, but the 51. Getting back to the 51 signatories of the letter have been destroyed, and people are poo-pooing this. Let me tell you something. You can't go on TV. You can't even have a conversation. Here's the worst part. I couldn't talk to Hunley ever again. If Hunley still had his security clearance and I didn't, we couldn't talk on the phone anymore. These 51 people, men, and maybe there's women in there, I'm not really sure, have become people without a country. The only people they can talk to is themselves. Fuck them. They deserve more than that, but at least as a
it's poetic. It makes them simmer and suffer.
Yeah.
And the beauty is that the only value they have to all the networks that they traipse around and depends on them is that clearance. Without that clearance, Mark or I have equal value to CNN or any network as them.
And not only that, any security information they came on, if they did go on CNN, they would be subject to investigation for having it.
Yep.
In other words, if one of their friends tipped them and they went on CNN without a security clearance, they would be subject to violations of various laws. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a
beautiful
perfect
thing.
trap. It's elegant, and there's nothing they can do about it. They can't cry in court. You can't. I mean, you can't sue.
Talk
to get
about
your
crying.
clearance back.
What about what's his face? The Ukrainian.
Rachel Vindman. Oh, that was my favorite because honestly, I forgot about Vindman.
Me too.
And then it was like she cried about there is no pardon. I was like, oh, thank you for reminding me. Hey guys, time to investigate. There's one out there.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Somebody
what,
out there.
what about, you know what was having the time of his life yesterday was Peter Doocy. Peter Doocy, all credit to Peter Doocy. He has earned this. He has earned this. And when he told Trump, is there a letter in the drawer from President Biden? And Trump said, let's have a look. And oh my, there is a letter. And he holds it up and it says 47. And Ducey goes, why don't you open it and read it to us? He goes, that's a good idea. And he looks like he's just about to do it. And he thinks better of it. Man, that was a magical media moment right there. 3M.
Oh, wow.
Magical media moment. Credit to Ducey.
Yeah, Ducey has
Brilliant.
earned his stripes. And I'm sure that Ducey will have plenty of access in the press room. And pressers. So, I mean, the Scott Jennings, who I swear came out of nowhere, but boy, God, that guy is like
very good.
Very good. I can't believe his old boss is McConnell. You know, I'm like, oof, good thing you got away from that guy.
Yeah, and what's the guy's name? Davis, with the glasses. He was on with Tucker. He used to be the head of the staff of Tom, what's his name, of Oklahoma, Sean Davis. Sean Davis and Tucker, great interview about the assassination. I don't know if you got to see the 2 assassination attempts. Sean Davis has dedicated his life to these 2 assassination attempts and knows quite a bit about JFK and Oswald too. I was quite impressed. He was on with Tucker this week. Highly recommend you see this interview with the 2 of them. Fantastic. I learned quite a bit. He has drilled down, I forget the guy's name. Tom used to be the senator from Oklahoma years ago. Anyway, he was his chief of staff. That's where he came from. I didn't know where this guy came from, but fantastic information about the shooters.
Okay, now as we keep going on the show, because I know you'll be going talking about our guest at some point.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
he may be late. He's
okay,
not
good.
in the background. Earlier,
okay,
he emailed me. He was at the jail.
Okay, this is
unfortunately,
Jonathan Gross, by the way,
right,
who's been on the show before, a friend of the channel. I talked to him last night about who had gotten out. We were having a conversation, and he said no one yet. And I said, well, come on the show, and we'll see what it is live. So the situation at the jail last night got quite violent as supporters of Trump showed up. And then the super uber aggressive Metropolitan Police showed up and started shoving them around immediately. That video is very disturbing. They just start pushing back on them. There's got to be a day of reckoning. This cannot be allowed to be the mayor's private army of DC. There's got to be some sort of reckoning here on how this is being abused, used, and run like a private little army.
Well, the marshals are okay. From my understanding, at this point, the marshals are in the jail.
Okay.
But it's a trickle thing. Now, in fairness, there is actual paperwork, like you got to sign this, whatever, and they're slow walking like crazy. I have a feeling. Well, when I emailed him earlier, he said he was at the jail, so he's probably there to help his clients to try to get them out at this point because there's this big bottleneck problem. But I'm going to give the guy a break if he's late or can't make it.
Oh no, absolutely,
them,
of course.
You know, that's
of course.
fine.
I mean, Terry, the head of the Proud Boys, got out immediately. Immediately, there was no paperwork there. He was released.
I think. Well, there probably was, but
yeah.
What? It's weird how it's going on because at 3 something, Viva was streaming it, even though he wasn't on the channel. It was like there was something streaming through his channel. And one of the guys there who was marching around or whatever, and supporter was saying that their pads were turned off or their tablets were turned off.
Oh my God!
But no. Apparently that's a good thing.
Oh, that they're leaving, so there's no service.
Right. Apparently that's part of it. Is they shut off the tablets and they have to turn it in before people are released. So it could be. You know,
Well,
it could be, you know, just 1,500 people is a lot.
yeah, but it's spread out. I mean, they're not all in there. I mean, they're in various.
lot of them
Some
are
of them
in
are
that
in.
one.
A couple are in Philly. Those two grandmothers were in the car. I don't know if you saw them.
Mm-mm.
They were en route. I think either Finity or no. Greg Kelly had them on last night. The two grandmothers were en route to turn themselves in, and they were waiting in the car to hear about the pardons, and they came across in real time while they were in a car going to prison.
Wow.
Both
Wow.
in Philly, oddly enough.
That's just, I mean, it's so insane. And it's crazy too that they were going to push this knowing about the possible pardon situation. Oh no, you couldn't,
No. They
you
would have
can't
kept going.
pause for one damn minute. You have to, you know, keep driving it. I mean, it'd be one thing if Trump came in and didn't do it and then they move forward, but no, hell no. We're going to just shove this down their throats.
Well, they know they've been caught lying. They know their narrative has been exposed. They know that the footage is going to come out. They know that they had to be pardoned to face witness tampering and evidence tampering charges, which I still believe are viable and should be brought to the United States Supreme Court. I believe that they should be brought in under oath, and if they violate that, cited with contempt of Congress and kicked out of Congress. I mean, you got to get aggressive with this. There are rhinos there who have not said one word, these anti-J6 rhinos who are now dead quiet, which was what Halpern was talking about, how none of these Republicans have said a word. The ones who were against the pardon of the J6 hostages have not said a word. There's plenty of them. And they are just sitting there. The Democrats, of course, are going berserk. Like this is, you know, the freeing of mass murderers or something.
There was a weird tension with two-way on that between Halpern and Spicer. And ironically, Dan Turrentine, who is not for it, had a reasonable response for a Democrat. He said, I don't like any of it, but I just watched an election.
Yeah.
And the public said, you know, he said, you know, to his credit, he said, Donald Trump has been saying for a year he was going to do this.
Should have voted against him.
They voted him in, so therefore,
I'm sorry. It's the same thing with the mass deportations. They're all going crazy now in the major news networks saying, how can this be happening? The people are against this. 67% of the American people are for mass deportations. Just because you're 32% of hardcore MK Ultra brainwashed believers are against it, elections have consequences. Begin the roundup, Hunley.
I you know, it's almost like they weren't here when it happened. It's a perfect parallel to last week with the fires, when these idiots were releasing videos saying, look who you voted in. He hasn't done shit about those fires. And I'm going, who's the president? Who's the, you know, I mean, you're just like, what bubble effing world do you live in now? You know, this is the flip side. They think that Biden's still the president. They think the world is still the way they had it.
You know, I think they go into a bubble. I think you're right. I think that they went crazy when Trump got elected. And then when Biden stole the election and got back into power, they went back about their business, not focusing on politics at all. You know, they completely went in the other direction. And now all of a sudden Trump has won again and they've woken up again.
Yeah, it's like they had a safe space. It was like the whole country turned into
like you and I did not. I mean, I did not stop following politics when Trump was in office or Trump was out of office. I mean, it was the same level on my part of following events. I don't change by administration. But these people, I think, just went back to their bubble world and just thought everything was copacetic.
Yeah.
You tell them about food prices and they go, yeah, they're high. I don't understand why.
It's a shame about that.
It's a shame. Tell the fires. The woman has no house and she's blaming climate change. I mean, it's crazy the bubble that these people exist in.
Yes, I mean, and you're like,
it's shocking. It's just shocking.
You're like, it's a cult. It's a cult because, and I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, not only are you and I paying attention to politics, we're pissing off people half of the time when we're critical of what we don't like that's happening at a particular time.
You know, I was out of town, as people may know, because of some fires. Because of some fires, and I got home. And of course, literally 10 feet from my door, another fire starts in Griffith Park. I'm here less than 24 hours and it's already on the news. And they arrested the guy, an arsonist, a transient arsonist, a TA, as I call them. He was immediately apprehended, and it was right over here, because I have this watch thing now, this fantastic app that the firemen use. Which is called let me see the name of this thing here, Watch Duty. Yeah, run this, because this is an inch from my door. And I said, holy shit, I had to go outside, see if I had to evacuate again. I don't know if you got a little volume there, maybe.
No, I can do the whole
Okay,
thing. Volume,
yeah.
Whatever you want to do. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
I just wanted to see them putting out the fire, which was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
we're actually at Griffith Park, one of dozens of LA City parks shut down because of that red flag warning. But despite that, we still had a scare today when someone was taken into custody in relation to a fire set near the observatory here.
This is where I live.
LA City firefighters responding quickly to a brush
That's
fire.
pretty
in
quick.
Griffith
Beautiful.
Park this
Oh, dude,
afternoon,
it was
able to knock it down
fantastic.
before tonight's strong winds blow in, keeping it well under 1 acre. A potential suspect taken into custody. In a year that is less than 3 weeks old, Southern California is already bracing for its third extreme wind event.
Wow.
Anyway, the point of the matter was, they responded with like 15 fire trucks in a procession within 17 minutes, right past my house. Went up in there, had the Cal Fire helicopter water dumper on it, and then they had the guys on boots on the ground putting this thing out. It was about an acre to start off with, and then arrested the mutt who did this.
Good.
He's a homeless transient, but again, Hochman vows to throw the book at him. This is Hochman's first test case. This nutty transient, whatever the hell he is, has to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. If Hochman wiggles out of this, then he's a fraud. I don't care what his mental state is. I don't care that he lives in the woods. None of that matters. This is on Hochman's plate now. He's been waiting for a case that they arrested physically and turned over to his office. Okay, that being said, the greatest story of the week is the phony fire truck couple that showed up with a fake. It's not a fake fire truck. It's a real fire truck. It's a real fire truck. They're from Oregon. They're complete firebugs. He's been sentenced. They're a husband and wife team. He's like 34. She's 44. They had all kinds of different walkie-talkies and fire equipment and fire outfits. He'd already been convicted up in Oregon for arson and was sentenced to 5 years. Comes down 2 or 3 days ago, was driving around through the Palisades and through Altadena with their fire truck dressed as firemen. And I don't think this was burglary. This was firebug crazy crap.
I mean,
this is so out there.
it could have been burglary, and they could have robbed every damn house and right under everybody's noses. Nobody would.
Right, but that's not their
twice.
MO. I'm saying he's got a history of doing this. This guy.
He probably was a real firefighter. I don't know how many arsonists turned out to be.
I don't know about that, but what's going on from what everybody's telling me in town, because I was out of town for almost 2 weeks, and I just want to thank everyone for their support. It was a little hairy. I mean, I just grabbed my laptop and clothes and split. So we were living all the way down in San Clemente. So it was getting a little stressful. But the point of the matter is, what everyone's telling me now is the homes are unprotected. They will not escort you to your home. The burglars and thieves and the homeowners know that something like 90% of these homes had safes in them. In the safes are gold bars, jewelry, records, money, everything that every major homeowner had. They all had a safe. They're trying to get the safes, the burglars, not burnt out clothing, not burnt out TV sets, the safes. The people want to get to their safes, and the cops won't let them. They won't escort them in. They won't allow them to go on their own. And the burglars who have been caught have been trying to get, and in some cases have gotten, those safes. And that's what this whole crime thing is about there. It's about those safes in the homes that did not burn and are fully intact.
Well, those safes, I mean, depending on how they're set up, someone
Yeah.
can they take the whole damn safe out of the house. And
that's all that's standing. I'm telling you, there
Yeah.
are some that if they pull back boards and they go and go through the rubble, they have found the safes, and in the safes of people's homes are literally one home had $200,000 worth of gold bars and jewelry. That was, the whole family's savings was in that safe, and the police are not allowing them to go to the safes or escort them. It's a bad scenario.
Yeah, and people are saying, well, safes are pretty. It's like they are, but it depends on how they're installed. I mean, how is it you can go to Costco and buy yourself a safe and take it home? Mm-hmm. Obviously, it is movable on a cart. And I mean, a lot of the people here probably have substandard safes, or they're not.
Well, some of them have standard good ones too.
Oh, I know, I agree, but I'm sure that the ones that are like in concrete, vaulted down, unless they're a safe cracker, they're probably not getting into that safe, and they move on to the next one.
But that's what I couldn't figure out what the burglary was about, and then everybody started telling me it's about the safes. So that's interesting. We'll see what happens on Friday, because hopefully Trump and Caruso can go out there together, and we could. Oh, well, that's interesting. Maybe we could find out about J6 before we move on to the regular stories of the day.
Why don't you do an intro for him so that way we're not
Jonathan Gross, who is and they talk about Viva, litigator turned YouTuber, right? What's Viva's handle? Litigator turned YouTuber.
Recovering Montreal litigator turned a Florida rumbler.
That's a new one now. Jonathan Gross is a former Maryland rabbi turned lawyer, and has ended up with a bunch of the J6ers as clients. He's been on the show a couple of times, giving us updates on what was going on. So I reached out to him last night to see what was going on, and figured maybe he could speak for himself as to what the hell's going on. I saw him on Newsmax a couple of weeks ago, which was great, with one of his clients. So maybe he can explain the status of what's going on.
Okay. I'm hoping he'll tell us that his clients have been released.
So thank God my clients were released. So,
well,
I want to start by saying this is my absolute favorite show. I really thank you so much for inviting me. No, I'm not. Honestly, you're laughing like it's not true. It's totally
no, it's cool. So where are you? Are you in the prison library, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm in the prison library. This is the Talmud that they have for all the people.
Where's that? That's the Hebrew prison library of the.
Yeah, check it out. We got,
look. Oh yes. Oh, look at that. Very nice that they have that in the DC jail.
They have it all in the DC jail because
a lot of the Watergate burglars were in there, by the way.
He's proving it's not a blue screen.
Right.
That's all he's doing.
That's funny.
So
Jonathan Gross was an extra in The Chosen with Robbie Benson, by the way. Back in look, now I got him. Now look, Kinahara. All right, so what's the word?
By the way, wait. I just want to correct one thing though. I was the chief rabbi of the state of Nebraska. That's what I was.
Oh, right. I forgot that. I'll tell you this though. I'm getting deep into Bob Dylan stuff. And when he had to get bar mitzvahed in Duluth, they had to bring a rabbi out from Philadelphia, an Orthodox rabbi who showed up, and they put him up above a bar to teach him his Haftorah. And then they didn't know what to do with him, so they sent him back after the bar mitzvah to Philadelphia. Came all the way out on a bus, Jonathan, to Minnesota.
Bob Dylan. Yeah,
that could have been you. You could have helped. Maybe the kids.
He's a little older, but So anyway, J6, right? That's what we're here for.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bottom line is President Donald Trump. I have to tell you, last night was biblical. When I say it was biblical, the story of the Exodus was a story of hopelessness. That's the Torah portion we're reading right now. Nobody thought they would ever get out. And then all of a sudden, and God kept saying to Moses, not only will it happen in the blink of an eye, but the Egyptians will be throwing you out of Egypt, literally. And people say, that's crazy. That's what happened last night. It started before it was even made public in the news. All of a sudden, my phone's blowing up. Thank God there are patriots all over this country. We had organized this because people really had faith in God that it would be done that day. So there were 239 J6ers in 80 facilities spread out over 35 states as of yesterday. All of a sudden, so we had people at every single one of those people picked up. And some of them are in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there were patriots who came from all over the place. It was an unbelievable thing. It's such you guys are the untold stories, right? Aren't you American Untold Stories? This is one of those stories. I mean, so all of a sudden my phone's blowing up. People are getting out. They're being processed all over the place. And it wasn't in the news. President Trump kept it quiet.
Wow.
Leaked it. There were like CNN even put something out like, oh, he's only going to put out the quote unquote nonviolent ones. All of a sudden I'm hearing that the guys who were put away for like 10 years, 12 years, 20 years are getting out. It was an unbelievable thing to witness.
Wow.
It was biblical. It was,
wow.
I went to sleep at like 3:00 in the morning last night because they have to process them, but the jails were like furiously trying to get the wheels turning because the executive order said you have to get them out now.
Right. Yeah, that's why I was wondering about what the delay was in DC.
Everywhere by last night or early this morning, except for the DC jail. It's the only one. And there are 22 guys in there who are actually men and women who are there right now. The parents are there. And by the way, that's the jail. These are all people who are pre-trial or have been convicted and are waiting for sentencing because it's jail. Then you're sent to everybody else. All those other facilities are under the Bureau of Prisons.
Bureau of Prisons.
Jail is a DC jail. It's part of the local government. And the marshals, they kind of rent space from it, basically. Nobody should be in that prison. It is absolutely a human rights violation. Marjorie Taylor Greene went there in 2021 and said that nobody should be in that jail. And she tried to get in. They wouldn't let her in. She forced her way in, basically. And then the marshals were embarrassed, so they had to then inspect it. The marshals inspected it. It's a whole story that I don't want to get into on this show. I could go forever. But they found it was violating their people's human rights. They put together a one-page report that's horrifying. They were living in open sewage. The jail would use punitive measures like withholding water and food. They would it was like a foreign prison. And one of the most disturbing things is the marshals reported that when they were trying to interview the inmates, they heard the staff saying to the people, quote, "Stop snitching, quiet, don't tell them anything." None of those people were arrested. No consequences occurred because of that. Nobody was even fired. They didn't move everybody out for a small period of time. The jail was held in contempt by one of the J6 judges, who's not the worst one, frankly.
Yeah, wow.
Not a fan of the J6ers, but he had no choice. He held the jail in contempt, and he said to the DOJ, "You should investigate." So for me, all of my clients who were going to go to the DC jail, I would immediately say, oh yeah, if you're going to put my client in the DC jail, you need to show cause the government that you've investigated and remediated the findings from 2021. I filed one of those motions. One of my guys was in Philly. He's out, thank God. And he was going to be moved. His sentencing was scheduled for tomorrow. He was going to be moved there last week to DC. So I said, if you're going to move him to DC, I filed a motion with the court, then I need to see from the government that they've investigated and they remediated the problems. And guess what? The judge, who I'm sure didn't talk to the marshals or the judge or the government secretly without putting on the record. I'm sure he didn't do that. But he said, no, that's not necessary. We don't need to go into that. I'm ordering that he could be brought straight from Philly to the court, and he doesn't have to go to the DC jail. So my guy was not there. Thank God. He got out last night at about 1:00 in the morning. He's from Oklahoma. He's a 100% disabled military veteran who spent 10 years in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I mean, the whole thing is tragic. Thank God he's on his way home to Oklahoma right now. So I've given you guys a lot of information, but the bottom line is the DC jail, through either incompetent, but I'm going to call it incompetence. I'm going to give them the
You're a nice guy. You're being too nice.
Competent. So due to incompetence, they're saying, no, we're working on it. We're processing them. Sorry, we didn't know this would happen. We're not prepared. And now we're almost 24 hours later, and they have not processed these guys. And it's a shame. I was just there. I got there at noon. I was there till about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. That's why I'm a little late. And it was freezing cold. Thank God there's a group of over 100 patriots who are out there, and they're demanding their release. And the jail is just we're working on it. It's like,
well, Jonathan, why can't U.S. Marshals go in there and physically take them out?
They're in there, from what I understand.
Absolutely should. I was sitting out there. I was on the phone with the jail attorney. And Congress was trying to get involved. Eli Crane, actually Congressman Eli Crane, I think.
I heard the Freedom Caucus was heading over there.
Freedom Caucus was going to go down there, maybe not. Honestly,
Boebert was there earlier, I think.
Lauren Boebert showed up. I was there when she was there, and all their gestures are appreciative. Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, who I'm telling you right now, nobody's done more for the J6 than her.
Yeah.
She was willing to come down, but in the end of the day, in my opinion, if Donald Trump himself showed up and banged on the table and said, "Get them out of here," it would be like you or me at the DMV. They would just say, like, "We'll get to it. We're working on it."
There's got to be repercussions. This can't be allowed to stand.
It cannot be allowed.
It cannot be allowed to stand. Heads got to roll. These people have to be removed. Once this is settled, they have to be taken out and perp walk themselves. And
I agree with that.
How does that work? And I guess this is part of the problem I have with Washington, D.C. existing at all as its own entity. No, because like if this was Phoenix, Arizona, or Omaha, Nebraska, you could potentially go to the state, or you go to the national or whatever, and the state could just go in and take over the facility.
The mayor.
What do you have here?
The mayor runs a gulag. Let's face it, Jonathan.
The mayor is the worst. They look. Let me tell you something. That city votes 95% Democrat, 95%. You know that you can't even imagine what that means. First of all, I want to know: don't any Republican staffers
they live there? Where do they live? It's really, but let me tell you something. 1972, they put the Watergate burglars in there, and they said it was a hellhole back then with rats and cockroaches. 1972. It's in numerous books.
It's probably
all of them.
Worse.
What's that?
It's probably gotten worse.
Oh, well, I'm sure it couldn't get better. I'm sure it's worse.
After Marjorie Taylor Greene went in there, and she forced all of this to come to light. This was in October and November of 2021. So they held an emergency DC City Council meeting that I could send you the Zoom link. You could watch it. It's like 3 hours long. And one after the other, these Democrats, they got on and they're like, "This has nothing to do with some congressman from Georgia and the insurrectionists. We've known about this for years."
They're proud of it. They're proud.
They're like, who's suffering in there? Black people.
Of course.
That's what it is.
Of course.
Remember all those George Floyd riots?
Yeah.
What the hell were those supposed to be about? They burned down all these businesses. You'd think at least, okay, fine. Now we don't have systemic racism. Wrong. All these black people are languishing in that jail as we speak right now. The J6ers, thank God.
Well, let me ask you something, because with Rikers Island in New York, you eventually get sent up to a legitimate prison in upstate New York with more facilities. Since DC is not a state, like Eric was talking about, they never have a state prison system to go to, Jonathan.
Right.
This is their state prison.
Right. It's insane. That is the crux of the problem. Reason number 29 to dissolve the DC jail system and the DC police and everything else.
But what I was getting at, though, is that here you have their city council saying, "We've known about this for years. They're all, what's it called? Virtue signaling. I've been yelling about this for 10 years. But meanwhile, until Marjorie Taylor Greene and the J6ers got there, you never did a thing. And all those people for all of those years suffered in that place. 23 hours lockdown, 1 hour out. No change of clothes for a week.
Right.
Withholding water for punitive reasons. Oh, we're not going to give you water.
Yeah, none of this explains the punitive reasoning for what they've been doing.
Human rights violations.
Yeah,
by the way, drugs everywhere. That's what the marshals wrote. The smell of drugs. I said at a sentencing, to the judge, this person, my client, she was a grandma, one of the J6 grandmas, 37 years sober, 37 years. She counsels.
Sounds familiar.
Right. She counsels people in drug recovery and everything like that.
Sounds familiar.
Meanwhile, the jail, when they put you in there, they recommend that you go to all of the drug counseling programs so that you will not be tempted to do the drugs that they know are in the jail. It's crazy. And that's from the DOJ and from the NIH. They talk about
this is my question too, and I'm sorry to harp on the state
sorry,
and city thing. No, this is great because in a typical normal state, you can't be held in a jail in perpetuity for a jail is tied
temporary
to the court, and then you move to prison when
that's
you're
what I was just saying.
sentenced.
Yeah.
So no January 6er is assigned post conviction to the DC Gulag. They're only there pre-trial, or for sentencing. So they'll be moved there and sit there for 30 days before their sentencing, or maybe sometimes the government after, and they do this for J6ers. You have a person with no criminal history, never did anything before in their life. All of a sudden they're convicted of J6, and the government, like Richard Barnett, he was a 65-year-old man. He's Big O, the guy who put his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's staffer's desk.
Yeah.
No violence, no vandalism, nothing. And at his trial, they said, after he was convicted by the jury, all of a sudden the government gets up and they say, we demand the marshals take him away right away to the DC Gulag because he was just convicted of these horrific crimes. So all of a sudden we're afraid that he's going to be a danger to the community, and he's got to.
Straka talked about today. He was on TV last night, and the walk away guy, and he talked about it today also. Straka said that himself and many others that he know were forced to sign documents with lies of what they had done in order to downgrade the felony charges to misdemeanors. Do your clients have the same experience? Did they have to sign confessions?
Did Brandon plead, or was he convicted? Because
he pled down to a phony.
People who come to me and tell me you want to plead, I tell them, don't go with me.
Yeah.
The government
is
not going to give you a deal.
He pled down to a misdemeanor. He pled down to a misdemeanor, but the felony charges were invented by the prosecution. He couldn't say it till today. He said he was forced to sign to get the plea deal of made up charges, Jonathan.
Yeah, not only that, now what they do is that then they, there's two things at play there. Number one, they offer you a plea deal, and it's so unfair, obviously, as you know, and they, they tell you plead to this, or alternatively, we'll give you 10 times worse, and you'll get it, which I will say to his credit, the best J6 judge, and that's not saying much, I'm not extolling his virtues, but the best J6 judge is Judge Leon, because he's like 100 years old, and he was appointed by like Reagan or something.
Right.
And, he works 3 days a week, and he has no pay. By the fourth year of this, he had no patience for it. I'll tell you that. Wow. So one of my guys, Judge Leon, said to the government, I will not sentence him for 1 day more than the plea that you offered him, because it's totally unconstitutional that a person should have to trade away their right to a trial by jury. That, and that's what the government does. They say, if you want to take it to trial, you will get more time. Judge Leon would have none of that, which I thought was a great thing. And, in his day, maybe he was a good judge. So, but there's two things. So number one is that when you trade to get that plea deal, you're exchanging most of your rights and the truth so that you get less jail time. So
I don't mind the plea deal, but he said that they made up the charges were out of whole cloth.
Yeah, because they
sounded so Stalin-esque to
correct.
Me, Jonathan.
They write the statement of facts.
Right.
And
that's
he
what he
says
said.
That's not what happened. And they say, well, that's what we say happened.
Yes.
And if you want this deal, you have to take that.
Yes, that's what he said. That's what he said. That was shocking to me.
So you have to trade the truth for a little bit of time in jail.
Not only did he have to trade the truth, he had to trade it up until today. Because even though he was on home confinement, he couldn't violate his own plea deal.
Well, it's not violating it. It's essentially the government threatens that if you say differently, then we could bring you back on perjury charges.
Yes.
Because you swore under oath. When you accept the plea, you go in front of the judge.
Okay, but here's my question to you. What do we do with the prosecutors who did this?
So
we can't let them walk away, bro.
No, we cannot.
We cannot let this to go.
I agree with that. I think that, first of all, what we need to know is who gave the orders.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something disgusting about January 6th.
Go ahead.
That's crazy. At a certain point, about 2 years ago, I noticed all of a sudden a junior attorney on every single case. Because these cases were such boilerplate cookie cutter,
Yeah.
they used it as a training simulation for new attorneys.
Wow.
So imagine a medical school
Yes.
that says we're going to make somebody sick
Yeah.
so that a junior can operate on them.
Right. Well, it's like Mengele bringing in doctors from a medical school in Frankfurt to watch his procedures on Jews in Auschwitz.
Exactly.
Thank
It's
you.
exactly what this is.
Yeah.
It's no different, by the way. And these prosecutors are evil people. They will put you on a cattle car to Auschwitz without batting an eye. I will tell you, some of them were scarier than others. The scariest ones of them are cold-blooded killers. They knew exactly what they were doing, especially the ones who would put people in the DC gulag.
Yeah.
I'd say to them, I could read you my emails. I'm going to publicize my emails.
Good.
Prosecutors.
Yeah.
I said, what the hell are you doing? I would write this in my emails. This is like how the Holocaust happened.
Right on. Yeah.
Literally sending a man to a concentration camp that you know is going to violate.
These judges are like Roland Feisler. I mean, the Nuremberg judge.
These are people who will stare you straight in the eye. I had another guy. He, God should bless him. He was, what happened was the judge saw that there was something a little, different about this guy. He's very religious, and they think religious is crazy
Of course.
So he would talk about God and everything. He wanted to represent himself, where he wasn't happy with his public defender. He has no money. He's like, kind of a very interesting guy. And they sent him to a
re-education camp or something?
Yes. They sent him to a jail, a prison for the criminally insane.
Right.
To evaluate if
in Missouri. Did he go to Springfield, Missouri, Jonathan?
What? Not in Springfield, Missouri, in Chicago, actually.
Oh, in Chicago. Okay.
FCC Chicago. They sent him to a prison for the criminally insane before trial to have him evaluated if he was competent to stand trial.
Because he believed in God.
Exactly. And deeply. But here's the crazy thing. This is before I met him. And he had a public defender, and they sent him there because his public defender also said, this guy's crazy. They sent him in there. Thank God. There was somebody in there who had Rahmanis on him. I don't know if he knows what Rahmanis is.
Hunley doesn't, but
I don't. So I'm the dumb one in the audience. So
listen to the story. They say, thank God there was somebody in that prison.
Pity, Eric. Pity.
Who had pity on him and did not find him incompetent to stand trial, because had he done so, you are locked up indefinitely until you are competent to stand trial, which is never.
Never.
So the guy, thank God, didn't do. I could tell that this man had pity on him, and he wrote, this guy has all these things, and I don't get into what it is, but he's all this stuff, and go easy on him basically, but he's competent to stand trial, thank God. So the guy, after I think 5 months, gets out of this jail for the criminally insane, because that's how long it took to evaluate the guy. He was abused in that place. He was beaten. He told me, I mean, he still has trauma from it to this day. Hiding under the blankets every night, didn't know what was going to happen, everything like that. Finally, they let him out, and he prays to God, and God sends something to him, sends him a rabbi to be his attorney.
Wow. That's
somehow somebody mentioned him to me, and whatever. I'm his attorney. I say, I believe in you. I believe everything. His name's Trevor Brown. He's the greatest guy. I love him.
Oh my God. What a story.
Wait. Listen to this. So I go to the prosecutor, and I will say this one is I'll start naming names as soon as I can.
Okay.
Not now.
All right.
I go to his prosecutor, and I say to the prosecutor, listen, you charged him with this bogus felony, which we all know is bogus. It's the 231. I talked about it last time. It's all felony. And you charged him with the misdemeanors. He already spent 5 months in jail. Let him plead to the misdemeanors, drop the felony. He'll just plead. We'll go. I never do this. I never plead, but this guy's not going to go to trial. Let's just let him plead. He didn't do anything.
You're known as Jonathan No Plead Gross.
Jonathan No Plead Gross. I said, look, just let him plead to the misdemeanors and let him go home. And I say, that you've read the report. You know what the story is. He's I'm going to say it, even though he's not, but it's the report. He's mentally disabled. Like, come on. So the guy says,
you said he was Meshuggah in open court?
He's Meshuggah. No, there's an open court. This is a private conversation between me and the prosecutor. And he looks me straight in the eye over the Zoom. And he says to me, I got news for you, Mr. Gross. He's not the first mentally disabled person that we've prosecuted for January 6th. And I shuddered. When he said the way he said it to me, I shuddered. It was like there was no irony in it. There wasn't even like malice in it.
Yeah.
It was so terrifying that there's a man like this in the government.
Feisler.
It's
Roland Feisler. I mean, they're in there.
I've said a lot. I don't know how long you want me on, but I can go on.
No. I mean,
we love having you on.
I want you to come back. I want you to come back, and I want you to name names. When you calm down, when the dust settles, and I want you to come back so we could talk like normal people. After this thing is over, because we're all hopped up now. We're all on the stuff. Let me ask something. Can I get a kosher meal in that prison?
You do not want the kosher meal in prison.
Oh, they do have a kosher meal.
You don't want it. I was I was a rabbi in Omaha, Nebraska. This is a story from this time, but basically,
go ahead, give me an upbeat story.
It was right after they passed RLUIPA, the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Person Act, which is a federal law that requires institutionalized persons to get religious accommodations. So all the jails in the country, state and federal, were scampering. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Yeah. So I got a call from a great guy in Tecumseh State Prison in Nebraska, and he said, we asked this one Muslim guy who wants a religious meal, he wants a religious meal, but we did consulting, and they said the best certification that you can get that will satisfy the most people is an Orthodox Jewish rabbi. And they went up to this Muslim guy and they said, if we get an Orthodox Jewish rabbi to certify the meal, will you be okay with it? And he said, absolutely. I love those guys.
That's great. That's great.
He's a murderer.
Jonathan Gross, ladies and gentlemen.
So I went in and I made the kosher meal, and it was terrible. It is horrible.
What did you make? Did you make latkes or something? What'd you make?
He gets gefilte fish. He gets no. You get this like pouch. It's
yeah.
Don't go with the kosher meal, everybody. If you're in prison,
right. Jonathan Gross, ladies and gentlemen.
Jonathan,
hold on. Gross. Go ahead.
I hope you consider coming back with a client if any of them want to come on.
Oh, anytime you want.
We would love to.
Next week, let's do a client.
Anytime. I love this show. It's my favorite.
All right,
show.
Bubby. Thank you, Bubby.
Take care, guys.
So much, sir.
Okay. Well, that was interesting. Holy crap.
Yeah, you know what? I want to bring up a point that you guys were talking about with the state hospital, and people don't realize that. I interviewed a psychiatrist who works at Broadmoor in England, which is the worst of the worst, where they have the hardcore people. And he was telling me a story. He was saying that essentially, if you are sent to an insane asylum, not only are you trapped there forever, but if you're a normal person and you're sane, it is a nightmare. It is far more comfortable.
If you're crazy, you blend in. Yeah, you're crazy. You're with your people.
Yeah, it's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is not necessarily too
Jack
far off.
Jack was normal, but he kept butting heads with all the crazy people in there.
Yeah, and it's not a good time. So people think they're getting over when they do it, but it's actually almost like
I'm sure
hell.
Hinckley blended in, and I'm sure some of these others blended in.
Probably because they belong.
Berkowitz got Attica. Berkowitz didn't get the nut house. Berkowitz got Attica.
Well, most serial killers don't, because that's a personality disorder is not considered like an insanity. It's a different thing. It's not a mental condition. It's a personality disorder.
Well, hopefully he'll come back with a client and we can get some more insight into it. But I think that prison has got to be shut down. That's it. There's just no. They keep talking about shutting down Rikers through Cortez, and Rikers is similar to that. But with Rikers, you get to go upstate after a period of time.
Right, and that's my argument. Yeah, it's like it's just this trap. A little cesspool that they call DC, and they need to give it to Maryland. I don't want them in Virginia. Okay, give DC to Maryland. It can be part of a state.
Hold on for a second. Hold on,
because down here, I already want to get rid of the rest of Northern Virginia. If we could give up, Loudoun County, some of the Northern Virginia, then the rest of the state could kind of even out, turn a more proper red, and be a better place to live. Maryland will be fine with them. Maryland's already blue. They'll be happy and comfortable. That's my answers. Give them give the northern cities to Maryland, and especially DC. And we got a couple new members here. Freedom Lover is a new member. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carl Burkhalter, I think you were a member before, so thanks for coming back. Happy to see you. And Lisa F with a $10 super sticker, who we appreciate always. Glenn Kirk with Canadian $20. Trump just announced commitment of $3 trillion infrastructure investment from companies. 2 days, $500 million from AI companies. Yeah, Trump's working on an infrastructure bill of his own, like an AI infrastructure. I'm not going to judge on that yet because I don't like government spending no matter who.
Well, we talked about this last night about the TikTok deal, which was happening in real time. He was explaining it. They must ask 20 questions about TikTok last night because people couldn't get their mind around it. And essentially what I took away from this thing, and I was talking to Eric, we were texting last night about it, by extending the life of TikTok for 90 days in a brilliant move, now has TikTok over a barrel. And the deal that he was talking about last night, if TikTok is worth $1 trillion, he wants $500 billion for the American people. Half the ownership of TikTok in a private venture, or he lets the clock run out on TikTok and they have nothing. And I thought, wow, this is brilliant. Unavailable in U.S. App Stores. Right. Okay. So
it's still shaky. It's like it went on. So everybody who has TikTok installed, it's working at the moment, but apparently you can't download it. So it's kind of in a weird state right now.
In 75 days, there is no state. Right. The brilliance of his deal is if they don't make a deal with him, they have nothing. And that is genius on my part. I couldn't believe it when he was explaining it. I'm going, this is absolutely brilliant in its simplicity.
Yes and no. I want to see where it's going, though, because I want to make sure that we, the taxpayers, or the government is not involved in any way in controlling it or paying for it. If it's, pressuring him saying, okay, here you've got $500 billion of ownership between Cisco, Apple, blah, blah, what? I don't care how it's put together, but I don't want another NPR. That bothers me. I think about, how
does the 500 billion bother you?
As long as it could be in the states without that, I don't want it tied to the government.
Wait, you want us to take the 500 billion and give it to some business guy?
No, I want it to be an opportunity that American companies can absorb the $500 billion worth of it, or however you want to do it. But I don't want government control over that. Do you like how NPR treats us? Do you like public television? Because that's kind of what you're pushing
to me, it's innocuous. I don't like taxpayer money going into it, of course. But the reality of it is the footprint that those two institutions make on the real world are minimal, Eric. This thing that he's talking about of getting $500 billion, just think about the $500 billion that he extracts for his infrastructure bill.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Let's say he takes the 500 billion. The United States, owns half of TikTok, and he puts a Nunez type person that he trusts in charge of it. Okay, so the thing is running as it was before. The other half is run by the private guy who owns it. So it's being run by whoever's running it now. But somehow the United States people, the people of America, get $500 billion from TikTok and put it into homelessness, fire prevention, infrastructure, highway, housing, roads. I'm all for that. And I think that's what he's driving at. Obviously, there's more details that you would.
I love the money. I love all these concepts, but I want to make sure, because it's always like, oh, it's cool, we love it. Well, Trump has had it doing it and all that, but Trump's not in there forever. And then when the next people go down, and when we lose the next election or another election down the road, and the Democrats now have another weapon in their hands, I'm just saying, I want to be very, very careful.
I agree with you. I agree. I'm just talking about the 500 billion. That's not going to be there for every single president to use. If he gets 500 billion right now and begins to use it for TikTok to repair this country, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit, man.
Okay, and I don't have all the details, so
we need the
you know what?
too.
Everybody can
Both of us
comment
don't.
below. Some of you
Yeah.
guys out there know exactly what's going on. You
Well, I
have
don't
more
know if
details.
anybody really knows. I don't even think Trump knows all the details, to be honest with you. It sounds like he's working this out. You could see the wheels were like turning almost in real time. And he kept trying to explain it to the press, but I think he was also explaining it to himself.
Right. And this is too big of a thing to just shift around. So comment below, though, what you guys think, because I want to know. I have not said it.
What if I gave you a free T-shirt? Would you swing over if you got a free T-shirt from it, or
I don't know what
like a TikTok T-shirt? I gave you a free T-shirt. Would you come over to the other side?
What kind of material?
All right. What other stories you got there? I know you got a few stories. Forget about the material.
Wait, we got that. Well, probably my favorite story, which Trump apparently was very hesitant to talk about.
What?
But the infamous Diet Coke button has returned.
Oh, the button, yeah. He didn't want to talk about the button. I mean, it's kind of interesting because LBJ had the Fresca button. It's just crazy that they have these buttons, to give them soft drinks. Nobody finds this unusual.
I don't mind it. I don't mind. I'm kind of, this is one of those where I'm like, there are people who could be like, oh my God, that's so elitist. It's like, we're talking
it's Diet Coke.
No. What I'm saying is the idea of you press a button to get it. It's like, this is the most important guy in the world. Do you want him to go walk to the kitchen to get it?
No.
So he hits a button. That's
who gives a crap? I just find it funny that there's a button, hooked into a Diet Coke. I mean, you think it'd be better if it was gin and tonic?
Well, exactly. I think it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. All right, what else you got?
All right. Well, we didn't get into this, but I do love this. This is getting back to Trump. How much smarter he is because he went into the wilderness. Now, other than the obviously horrible things that happened when he got kicked out of office, which I don't like. Yeah. I think Trump will be a more important figure and more effective because he lost in 2020 and went into the wilderness the same way as Steve Jobs. I know I talk about Steve Jobs a lot, but Steve Jobs got fired from Apple, wandered the wilderness, figured out what to do wrong, what to do right, things like that, came back with a storm. Look at what Trump is doing immediately. This is along that line. Day one, purging thousands of people. Immediately, knowing
including that fat bastard food guy, that guy who got the award and then posed with the Trump assassin. I don't know if that guy got the Medal of Freedom. From what's his name, Jose Hernandez or something. That piece of shit.
I gotta.
He's a spook who shows up in war zones. Jose Andres gets the Medal of Freedom, poses with the Trump assassin on the right, and now has been fired by Trump. I mean, what a tour de force a couple of weeks for this guy.
Yes. I mean, this.
Who's he pointing to up there, by the way? In the
I don't know. I mean, that's like he's probably saying Rifleman could go there.
Yeah, there could be a bomb dropped through that hole. But 100%. That, and also you had the hostages' families on stage with Trump. That was incredibly moving, and he spoke to every single one of them. Listen, I just want to point out this is not a peace deal. This is a ceasefire. And any violation, as one of Trump's cabinet members to be said, any violation of this ceasefire, all bets are off. And they said Trump is not going to stop Israel from doing what they got to do, which is what I think is going to happen. They're going to get X amount of hostages released, and Hamas will not be able to control themselves because the amount of people they're releasing, the Israelis, is way out of proportion for what they're getting back. But the Israelis don't give a shit. And I think Hamas will launch missiles and it'll be back on again, in my opinion.
My thought about it, and again, I'm nowhere near the knowledge you do, is I feel like the situation, it was just stuck, and he at least has it moving now. Not necessarily good. There's obviously a million problems. I do like Mark Halperin's pickle jar analogy, where he said that it's like Joe Biden, has this pickle jar and he keeps jerking on the lid. He can't get the lid open, and Trump walks behind you and pops it open.
That's a good analogy. But it was weird because Trump was taking credit for it in front of Biden in that speech he gave, and rightfully so. Biden had a number of years to do stuff, and he didn't do it. Now we're supposed to believe that within 48 hours of the end of his administration, like, what's the threat to Hamas?
That was the rest of the pickle in a jar analogy, was that Biden's like, but I loosened it.
What a piece of shit.
Oh my God. Well, and then, okay, well, we've got this. You said to me, it's
this is just some random footage. I don't know. I just found it funny.
I mean, I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, knock yourself out. I just found it funny. They were dancing around.
With this was so awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoyed that. Like, again, the village people and the swords and the cake.
The village people last night was insane.
Oh,
that was insane.
I love that though. I mean, come on, it was so cool. And you have JD.
Did you see Billy Ray Cyrus, by the way?
No.
This guy needs to check in a rehab quickly.
Oh, really?
I don't even want to get into it, but Billy Ray Cyrus needs some help, ladies and gentlemen. Holy crap.
Okay. All right, fair enough. But anyway, I love the 1,000
firings.
Firings day one. And the subtlety again, we brought up the 51 getting it removed, but I love that he put Bolton on there too. There's so much symbolism in what he's doing, what you said before, and it's been stated here. He's giving that inauguration speech with policy and everything else and shoving it right down Biden's throat. He has to sit there and take it. I mean,
how about all of them saying it was a dark speech today and like mocking?
It's dark for them.
They just kept saying the word dark over and over and over again. Dark. It was dark. It was dark.
Yeah, but it
was dark for them. Yeah,
you know who else?
They lost.
Who else did that though? I mean, dark goes all the way back to Scott Adams might be right that Robert Cialdini was used to fix Hillary Clinton's messaging in the 2016 election. Over that summer, the press, remember, all of a sudden got in line and they were saying dark, 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 dark with Trump.
Yeah.
It's that same basic psychological messaging. You see where we're going here. They rolled dark Trump. The other message is that Trump is with all the plutocrats. So now that image is going to go stronger because he has Bezos, Zuckerberg, which is hilarious because they just changed sides.
They just changed sides. I mean, a retard could see this. And by the way, you're allowed to say retard now under the new Trump administration. So I'm back.
Well, not on YouTube. Okay. YouTube's its own administration. So we will not be saying
Well,
that.
Let me tell you something. That Google guy was sitting there too, bro.
Yeah, but he's still
Google was
no,
there.
he calls himself a free speech network. Give me a break.
Yeah, Google was there. And let me tell you something. Put him in a room with Zuckerberg and Musk and Bezos and let them work them out. You know what I mean? Trump should literally say, I don't care what you got to do to this guy. I need this guy to be brought in line. Go talk to him and let them do it.
Hey, that could be DOGE.
Yeah.
Of a sort. I mean, whatever. It's like, hey, Elon, oh, by the way, Elon apparently will be moving into the White House, not across the street, but into the White House. So
not him personally.
His office for DOGE, yeah.
Right, but Trump was saying that his staff will be in there, that he'll be somewhere else. Like he's getting offices, but he's physically not going to be there.
Okay,
I don't know. I'm just saying he made a point to say that. I'm just repeating.
All right. Well,
I'm just repeating what he said.
He'll be in the Lincoln bedroom. No,
but they're saying that's not true. He went out of his way to say that's not true.
All right. I think you'll
all I could say is Billy Ray Cyrus couldn't even plug in his guitar last night, and Jimmy Carter, the most incompetent president of the United States, had the Allman Brothers play an entire set in 1976 without a hitch. And last night you had the a cappella, what's her name, singing.
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood. They lost the music. They lost the band. I mean, what the hell is going on with the conservative right that they can't put on a goddamn rock concert?
Well, I mean, they're not really known for that.
But they're known for tech. What about tech?
Unless it's, you know what? If it was, I'm surprised about Carrie Underwood. Billy Ray Cyrus may have his own issues. I mean, country does lean right.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not known for.
How about Barron Trump when he was got that standing
That
ovation?
was
Dude.
his little. Oh my God! I was like, what?
He was, and then he went up and shook everyone's hand. They were kind of startled. He went up to Biden and shook his hand. Biden looked stunned.
No, he said something to Biden, and Biden. I don't know what it was.
Fucking get you, you piece of shit! I'm gonna fucking get you.
Biden looked rattled.
He looked rattled.
Yeah, and
you fucked
I was
with
showing
the wrong
Gavin
Trump.
that, and Gavin said,
"You fucked with the wrong Trump." You piece of
Gavin
shit.
said that.
I'm gonna fuck your daughter. I'm gonna get your daughters. I'm gonna get them alone.
Something a little more subtle. Anyway, Gavin made the
Well,
joke.
you don't know that. He might have
Leave
gone
the
for-
key under the rug.
He might
when
leave
you
the
leave.
key under the rug. I mean, George Bush was having the greatest time of his life.
Well, George Bush, you saw that they had the lip reader between Obama and Bush, right?
Well, what did he say? I still don't know what he said.
Can you stop this from happening?
Oh, okay. All right.
It was the hold on, let me see if
Was he a joke? That's like a joke kind of thing?
I think so.
President of the United States, the Honorable Barack H. Obama.
Soon. Uh-oh, he's already saying, hey.
Anyway, the lip reader apparently
He's probably shit-faced. Look at his face is all red. He's been drinking Jack Daniels. His wife, famously said it's either me or Jack Daniels, and he chose his wife at that time. Who knows what he does now?
Oh, he's got all the time in the world. But yeah. How can we stop what's happening is what he said, according to lip reader, which I could see.
That's funny.
Him saying that.
Yeah.
But
Obama was laughing at Trump jokes. Trump joke: a black guy and a Jew and an Italian walk into a bar, and Trump, Biden was just cracking. Obama was just cracking up.
Looks like the do you get pardon or commuted?
Right on the big board.
I don't know if that was a commutation or a pardon. We'll have to find out. Folks, can you clarify if he was pardoned or commuted? Because if it's a pardon, that's an upgrade from what
about
expected.
Assange and Snowden?
I haven't heard a peep about that. So maybe in the future, but he's never said that. And to his credit, he's been pretty clear. If he says it, it seems to be he's sticking to his word. But
what? I was overwhelmed when I was crying that a politician kept his word. I think it was more of that than anything else.
They're saying full and unconditional pardon.
Unconditional, out and free, partying like it's 1999.
Ross Ulbricht, I mean, the Silk Road guy. That's wow. I'm surprised.
Well, Silk Road 3 coming to a neighborhood near you.
No, I'm just saying the guy had a double life sentence.
Yeah, no, I know.
So
Silk Road 2 opened up pretty quickly, though, which it did. I don't know what's still up. Silk Road 2. I mean, if it's there might be up to Silk Road 3 at this point.
Okay, I can never argue with George Orwell. He said that the word is Barron Trump said to Biden, "You're done."
That would be great.
Well, Barron is like coming into his own like crazy. He was like looming over his sisters and photobombing them. And it was like this guy was so shy.
Yeah.
And ever since he put Trump with Rogan and all that, I guess he's starting to, get his oats a little bit.
Well, he according to his mother, is autistic and on the spectrum, so that might have been misperceived shyness. He may be spectrum-y. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if he's hanging around with Elon.
I
bet those two could relate. No, I'm saying Elon said
he went to a special school when he was a kid. I remember that was an issue.
And Elon has himself said that he has Asperger's. So I'm not trying to pick on him. It's just one spectrum guy, and in that powerful circle that could be a good influence. Or I don't know.
Yeah,
Barron.
And we're going to go to Mars, Eric.
That.
I mean, Musk went crazy over that.
Oh, well, but what I love about that is that's an echo of Kennedy, in my opinion, because I think though that there's more to it. Obviously, Trump will be long dead before we get to Mars, but what Kennedy did when he pushed the space program, really kept us on top of the world for decades because we put so much effort into learning science and engineering. It's like we focused our efforts into reasonable shit, and everything Trump was doing is anti-women's studies, Latin studies, all the bullshit woke programs. It's like getting back to science. He even said manifest destiny. Think about that for a second, how important that was to our history to bring that back. I think that the Mars thing just goes into that.
Well, keep in mind that what Kennedy did was also didn't stop it, but he distracted the nuclear arms race and created the space race, because it wasn't just us, it was the Soviets who were going towards the moon too. So what he did was divert the death machine into a space race, which is what they called it, from the nuclear arms race. They literally changed the vernacular to a new subject. Which, I mean, we weren't the only one doing it. The Soviets were way ahead of us at the time in the beginning, and Sputnik, and so it was a space race. I don't know who's going to be racing us to Mars, but maybe the Chinese will get going.
Did you see the movie Fly Me to the Moon?
I don't think so.
Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. It's not
a comedy, or
kind of rom-com-ish, but it's about the space.
By the way,
race.
that Severance went off the rails, so forget about Severance, folks. The
season 2 went woke. Right?
Yeah,
no.
It started out okay, and then just all of a sudden fell apart. But what's incredible is there's going to be a season 4 of the fabulous Gemstones. Greatest news I've had in months. So Gemstone lives. We thought it was dead. Now Gemstones is back alive. So
how about Silo? Have you seen Silo yet?
I have not.
Silo's a pretty interesting sci-fi dystopian type of thing. Season 2 hopefully is wrapping up, but that's one I actually did get to see. Like I said, I'm a minority vote in a household of 2.
Yeah. American Primeval, Peter Berg. I still have a lot of fun. There's a lot of gore in there, and a lot of fun.
I want to see that, but it'll probably
you will like that. It is. Again, somebody challenged me on the historical accuracy of it. According to Berg's writers, they tried to make it as historically accurate as possible. Real people doing real things.
Oh, fair enough. You know what? We got some more super chats in here. Diffuse 56 gifted 10 America's Untold Stories memberships. Thank you very much. And we got Pew Pew back here on the board with 10 memberships himself.
I hope some of the J6ers get these memberships when they get out.
I hope so too. And I hope they make the rounds. One thing I love about the pardons is that they can reveal every single detail about every single case. And on the flip side, well, Congress, I hope you call Fauci to the, make him testify now.
Yeah.
I want to know every damn bit of gain of function research. I want to know every single piece of that program under oath. Or he can be found contempt of Congress. He's not protected. It's not, forward thinking pardon. So, and then, by the way, I was thinking about that while he's testifying. Guess what? It doesn't protect him civilly. So I know that's not perfect, but not only do we have state potential charges, but he can't face jeopardy for federal charges. So that he has to talk to Congress. Then all that could be used to civilly strip him of any honor, anything he has. Maybe he can get the Giuliani treatment. It's obviously not enough. But, we got to take what we can get. Sean Lucan gifted 10 America's Untold Stories memberships. Thank you. Joe K. If Biden was deemed mentally unfit to stand trial, why was he not sent to a mental prison?
He was never deemed mentally unfit to stand trial. That was the guy's report about, as an amateur, about his odds of getting a conviction in a theoretical trial.
And I think that's why he didn't pardon himself.
Yeah.
Is that exact same deal. Trump's not going to do anything.
No, of course not.
Not to him. And K-Dog, if any of the Bidens receive any money going forward from past illegal deeds, does the pardon still apply? Good question. I don't know.
Yeah, you're saying illegal deals, but no one's ever said they're illegal deals. That's the problem with your statement.
Apparently that's coming out now. Justice Department has already said, I guess today, yes, Hunter Biden was getting paid by Ukraine. So now it all can just roll out.
Yeah, it's so sheer cowardice. They had years and years and years to do it. They were scared. They were scared of
it's a
their own
different Justice
shadow.
Department.
No, I agree, but it didn't block state attorney generals from doing. Look how quickly the Washington state attorney general went on this morning to challenge Trump's executive order. 5 minutes. The other people, when Biden was doing this stuff, didn't even dare challenge, like the Washington state attorney general did this morning. I respect that. I really do. I don't agree with it, but I respect their chutzpah.
Well, and if they're consistent, it's like,
Yeah,
well,
they
you
are
know what they're doing.
consistent. They are.
It's kind of like AOC, as obnoxious as she is. I kind of know what she's going to say all the time.
Yeah.
David March talked to Barris' son. Byron Donalds went around to all the rhinos and threatened them with primaries funded by Musk if they didn't get in line. All right. That makes sense. Thomas Grigsby. Trump created asset worth $500 billion, which is the 90-day window to buy TikTok. The buyer pays $1 trillion, half to ByteDance, half to U.S. government. Even if U.S. hold paper on $500 billion, Trump uses that.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, I think that's that's a great idea, Thomas. I mean, the $50 billion could be used for his infrastructure bill. It could be used for a lot of things. Let them run their goddamn TikTok the way it was. I don't really care about that. But the $50 billion, he's going to extract the money.
We do care about the data. That the whole point.
Let's not. Well, as long as it's not going to China, yeah. Okay. But that's the same problem with the other. You can make that argument for YouTube and Tumblr and Instagram.
Oh, I'm not excluding them. Let's go to them next. People are pointing out the Chinese farm ownership. I agree.
Right, but as Barnes pointed out, that 9-0 ruling by the Supreme Court, they weren't going after YouTube or Facebook or anything about China. I mean, they kind of just were making a special case out of this almost.
Yes. I mean, in terms of the Supreme Court, and I know you specified, but they have to respond to the law that's in front of them, not creating a new one. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I think we should go after Chinese farm ownership and all foreign ownership. That's part of my issue with the law is I thought it was a little too narrow. And it's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If you say, and I agree with Barnes, that data is not allowed to leave the country, period, then that would cover Facebook and everybody else from selling off data, which of course they're doing. But I don't know, regardless, whatever. Okay, there's no rumble rest. Just wanted to check on that. JS, they're touting permanent changes, but doing exec orders. They are not permanent. I agree. Congress hopefully will be following behind to create laws. However, because Trump, did you see that Trump admitted when he was with Mike Johnson, how he screwed Mike Johnson over?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he said, we barely gave the House a win.
Oh, I saw that.
Then I went plucking people from him. And the poor guy has, what do you have now?
Sounds familiar, Hunley. Sounds familiar.
Hey, at least Trump admitted it. So, but Mike Johnson has got to have the hardest damn job imaginable for trying to push some things through.
Unless you have other members of like this guy Donald's doing what he's doing and threatening people. You have to. There's no other way to run this thing without sheer brutal threats until you get a bigger majority. The only way you're gonna herd these cats is by threatening them until you get a bigger majority to have some wiggle room. Or you're not going to get anything through.
I agree, but it is going to be a challenge for Mike.
He wants him to do it now with the 1-vote majority.
I know.
I mean, it's insane. But if he could get it through with a 1-vote majority, these complicated bills, this is working better than I ever imagined, Eric. But comment down below if you think that they could pull this off with a 1-vote majority. Comment down below. Should they wait? Meaning the alternative is you wait till April, when you've got when the seats are refilled through special elections and you got a buffer.
Yeah, well, I think what probably is going to happen and should happen is get the low-hanging fruit now that nobody's going to fight too hard about, and then get general consensus. Even if none of the Democrats like it, all the Republicans are okay with it. Get all that through. Push all of that through, so at least you get movement. You can show changes. You can show laws being made. Get things locked through. Like, for example, immigration. Right now, immigration, you'll pull some Dem votes, especially from border states, who have to directly suffer that. I would hit hard on those areas, get those ratified in, and move, like remain in Mexico. Instead of that being an executive order, shouldn't remain in Mexico become a law? Wouldn't that be more effective?
With those contentious subjects, I think you might need a buffer, Senator. But the reality of it is, he's hit the ground running as he said he would.
Right, but I'm saying is remain in Mexico is a 60 to 70% public supported issue, and you'll probably be able to pull that even if you get a couple idiot Republicans. There'll be enough Dems that'll come over and you can push it through. So anything like that that's very, very strong right now, while he's got the capital, probably get it through. And then the taxes and the really dirty, contentious stuff, that probably needs to be April, because he's going to need as much as he can to build it. I don't know. Comment below, everybody. we want to know. Okay, what else do we have? I know we had a couple of. Oh, well, this is a fun story. You sent me this about an unlikely costume for a modern World War II supporter, if you will.
What is this? I forget what I say. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. This guy, apparently he's done this before. He dresses as an Orthodox Jew and then goes into synagogues in Tennessee. And it reminded me, when I saw him doing this, of Woody Allen in Annie Hall, where he's sitting around the dinner table and Granny Hall imagines Woody Allen as this in her mind. And Woody Allen looked like this guy, so I thought of this immediately. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. He's a neo-Nazi. He's part of the, and I say this because that's what he said he's part of, the Goyim Defense League, which is really funny. But yeah, he's some nut, some anti-Semitic nut down in Tennessee. But I thought it was funny because he looked like Woody Allen.
Great. Anyway, saw that. What else did we have? Another story. Well, you know what? I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Libs of TikTok actually had a good thread, and it just covers Trump's executive actions.
Okay, what should we do? Is there something to watch, you mean, or?
Oh no, we don't have to watch. We could just look at them and see if we caught them all up here, because he had so many executive orders in the first day. I couldn't keep up with it. So. Okay, he signed an executive order to withdraw from the Paris Climate Treaty right out the gate. Again, he did that in 2017.
We did this, yeah, he's done that before.
The executive order directing all federal employees to return to full-time and work.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's going to cause some pain.
That hurts.
Signed the executive order in the weaponization of government against political opponents.
That's a good one. How about the World Health Organization too? Is that there?
Well, I'm sure we'll get there.
Okay.
I'm just going.
No, because you mentioned the Paris Accords. That was right next to it.
Let me see. The executive order to address the cost of living that skyrocketed under Biden-Harris, and a lot of that will be solved with the opening energy.
Yeah.
Executive order freezing federal hiring. Good.
Okay, I could go for that.
Okay, he rescinded 78 Biden era executive orders.
He just kept signing 71, 72, 73, 74. Somebody said he should come out with an AI of himself in a sling of his right arm today.
That would have been a good thumbnail.
Yeah. Did you see the black Muslim minister who came after the rabbi in the benediction before Billy Graham's son? Who just started going full Martin Luther King? It was crazy, and he was a Muslim, and he just went free at last. And I'm going, whoa, what is this now? And he was the Muslim minister, but he went full Martin Luther King for his time slot, almost literally reciting the speech.
Wow,
very strange.
Wow. And obviously the 1,500 J6 defendants.
Good
And
one.
I'm so glad that Jonathan Gross's clients are all out. That was really good.
Very good.
Oh, I love this one. Executive order designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
You know what I liked was the guy who was doing this. This guy deserves credit. All day long, he kept doing this, and he balanced it. Trump gives him the microphone here, but he explained each executive order while people were yelling and screaming out questions and stuff. This guy never flustered. He was fantastic the whole day, doing it on multiple locations, Eric, because he went with him to the center. He went with him to the Capitol Center, and he did it there. Then he kept doing it in the Oval Office.
Well, I mean, well,
wow.
I think Halperin said he's right, but no, I think Halperin is wrong because Halperin said that Trump is going to answer more questions from the press by February 1st than Biden did his whole presidency. I'm like, no, he'll do it in the first
day. It was the
I mean,
first
he's just
day.
sitting
That
there
was
so comfortably just talking about everything.
He answered hundreds of questions in one day.
Yeah.
In one day.
I
mean,
it's so remarkable.
It's so, the difference is night and day between, and talking, a septuagenarian and an octogenarian, and yet night and day.
4 years. That's all.
Night and day. It's insane.
Yeah.
Gives me hope.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's insane. Let me see. That was a great one. Secure the southern border. He's declared a national emergency and gone with remain.
Can he send soldiers down there? Somebody answer this question down in the comment section.
Well, he said a state of emergency, so yes, I believe so.
Thank you. Finally. Okay. Human soldiers with U.S. uniforms on.
Well,
dude, what about the Coast Guard head? He got rid of her.
Yeah, that was today. I think he just.
Yeah, that was a good one. The DEI chick.
Well, what about the Air Force general? I think he's still.
Dude, what is with him and that Air Force general? What is he in love with this guy?
I don't know. Maybe he's black and he's worried. I don't know, but hopefully soon he'll just get rid of that guy. But yeah,
okay.
The guy probably kissed his ass like Bill Gates did in a dinner.
Oh, he definitely did. But man, has Kelly got a hard on for this guy.
Well, at least he's moved off of Exeth then.
Yeah. Okay. So which confirmation hearings are coming up now? You got Kennedy, you got Gabbard, and Hegseth.
Hegseth
the three big. His is next, right?
Yeah. Bondi got kicked to January 29th.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, the Democrats pulled some sort of procedural stunt that delays it by 7 days at a minimum. I don't quite get it.
Well, so they could keep doing their evil inside the Justice Department.
Apparently so, but as long as he has his own people,
he's got to issue an executive order making her acting attorney general. Watch what he does.
Maybe, or if there's somebody there. I don't know what he's going to do, but we'll find out. I was correct about Rubio, about them carrying him out. Well, not exactly, but 99-0.
Any 99-0 vote terrifies me. And Rubio got the 99-0 because I think he's number 100, so he couldn't vote for himself.
Exactly.
99-0 is terrifying. Terrifying.
Oh, yeah, that or JD Vance's replacement hasn't reported yet. Could be that too.
Well, it's still 99. But what do you?
No, I know. No, that's what I'm
saying. There's no Miami or Florida replacement for Rubio.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Who's the 99 then? Who's number 99? Or who's the missing 100th? Comment down below if you have the answer to this thing. I know a lot of these brainiacs who know civics. Somebody's got to know why is there 99 and not 98. Let me ask you. Let me put it that way, because you're missing the Rubio seat and you're missing the JD Vance seat, right, Eric?
I think so. Unless I know that somebody was named for JD Vance. Maybe he showed up. No,
and
it's
voted.
Somebody,
no.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Rubio's replacement has already showed up because they interviewed her, and she's living at a hotel. So maybe she did.
Maybe
vote.
she was the 99th then. Okay.
Could be. Anyway, but
okay. Comment down below anyway.
You don't often see unanimous support.
Well, it can't be 100 because he's been replaced, so it could have been 100.
All right. So anyway, Trump signed an executive order restoring a merit-based hiring system, which is fantastic.
That's a good one.
And then the extension to TikTok.
This thing is the most fascinating thing of all. I'm just enamored with the craziness of this. This is so out of the box, so radical, so crazy, and that's why he's Trump and we're not.
He signed the executive order creating DOGE.
Did you hear him talking about property value in North Korea? There's a lot of shoreline for condos. He says this is a great place for condos. And then he also started pontificating about Gaza and their ocean views.
Somebody has talked about Gaza being an oceanfront property.
Yeah, I've heard that before, but I've never heard North Korea. I've never heard the talk of condos in North Korea before.
As a matter of fact, yeah, that's been one of the criticisms, is that technically Gaza should be like a beautiful tourist destination.
It's a military dictatorship. It's a military dictatorship. Let's just face it. It's run by terrorists. It's a dictatorship. They canceled elections. They were elected in 2004, quote unquote. And until they're destroyed, this place is never going to be allowed to flourish.
Right. I mean, but technically, they have better resources than Dubai.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It could be, another Dubai. But let me see. He signed an executive order declaring a national emergency for the border. Okay. Executive order to hold former government officials accountable for unlawful disclosure of sensitive information.
Okay, what about that? Why can't we go after them for that?
Maybe we'll see how that goes. But I don't know if you can.
Let's say we put him on trial.
I don't know if it'll hold up in court.
Let's say we put Milley on trial. He had a pardon, right? We put him on trial. Go through the entire thing as a trial to get the information out to the American public. Then it comes to the sentencing and he's got a pardon.
Yeah, well, I want to know first what he's pardoned for, because, did he do something that's not covered by the pardon? And we'll just get him on that.
I don't know.
I don't
to
know
me,
either.
Here's how I would work this. Everyone who got a preemptive pardon should be indicted. After the indictments, they should lawyer up and fight it themselves to the United States Supreme Court. In other words, indict Mark Milley, indict Fauci. You indict Fauci. Fauci says, I've got a pardon. Good. Get a lawyer, go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Knock yourself out, Fauci. Make them defend themselves. Make them make the Supreme Court rule in favor of their preemptive pardon. When they go before the Supreme Court, and I'm just hypothesizing about this, and the Supreme Court says, and one of them is going to say this, what did you get your pardon for, Dr. Fauci? And he says, I don't know. Okay, Supreme Court will have to get off their fat asses and make a ruling. That's what I want. I want the Attorney General of the United States, when and if she gets in there, to indict these people to test the legal legitimacy of the pardons, the preemptive pardons.
All right. Well, yeah, I wouldn't fulfill my rule if I wasn't a pain in the ass. You have considered that the people who have not officially been charged yet, or in the middle of not being sentenced for January 6th, would fall afoul of what you're talking about too. Or are you saying that Trump would just make it up and do a later pardon?
He could pardon them later. Yeah, they've had criminal proceedings. Fauci going in there, it would be just Fauci's case. In other words, Fauci's not going to say, I'm here representing J6 defendants. I'm here because I've been indicted by the Attorney General of the United States for crimes, whatever his crimes are, whatever his bill of attainder is, whatever they could put together on Fauci. And I'll say this thing about Liz Cheney. You could say it about, these other pardoned people too. Make them defend themselves. Make them go to the United States Supreme Court. Force the Supreme Court to make a ruling. If the Supreme Court wants to say that Fauci is fine with that pardon, let them have the embarrassment of doing it. Let them have egg on their face. That's my move in this entire scenario.
All right. You know what? We have over 4,200 people watching us here on YouTube, and for all you folks here on YouTube, but it can also be Rumble or anywhere else. On YouTube, it's called subscribe. On Rumble, it's called a follow. Wherever you might be. Well, you know what? I'll let Christopher Walken talk to you.
That subscription button's looking a little red. Well, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more subscription. Huh? Look at my eye. I'm winking. That means subscribe.
Well, he showed up in Severance the other night. I don't know if you're aware of that. He's also in Severance. And he's also in Annie Hall. So there's two things I just mentioned that have.
Well, see, there we go.
Have this gentleman in there. And he also, when he gets a script, this is really odd about Christopher Walken. He takes a script and has his assistant rewrite the script or his lines without any punctuation. And he feels this is really inside baseball, but I'll tell you because he seemed like a fun guy. He will have his dialogue stripped out of punctuation, and he feels it's offensive for the writer to tell him when to punctuate his own dialogue, and he will be the judge of that, sir. And he has done this in every script he's ever gotten, and he just finds his own rhythm based on the words themselves and arranges them, doesn't change them. He arranges them in the rhythm that he sees fit, and he feels it's offensive for the writer to say this is a period after a sentence. I just always found it fascinating. And you could listen to Walken in any movie doing this. And the second thing is he dances in every performance he's ever been in on screen. There's some moment where he dances.
Okay, I've got one more piece of trivia about him. He was a lion tamer.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good one.
Yeah, which is wild.
That's a good one.
I don't know if it was.
I mean, the dance could be a little pirouette on his own, but he always wanted to be a hoofer instead of an actor.
Interesting. So lion tamer to a hoofer to an actor. He's an oddball character for sure. And
Walken's a genius.
He is. Just don't go on a boat with him.
Wait a minute.
Let's see. We've also got an executive order to protect American women from the dangers of radical gender ideology.
Oh, didn't he declare 2 genders last night?
Yes, he did.
Now, what are the other 149 genders? And I say that not jokingly. What are the other 149 genders and all of the documentation that's within the government supposed to do now?
I don't know. But you know what? It'll be kind of like it's a great day for cartographers and globe makers.
Yeah.
Because
they have to change every. That includes, I think, passports and driver's licenses. Everything's got to go back to the way it was before.
Good. Wow. Speaking of, yeah, that's going to be a cost. I don't like that. But one thing that I do deeply, deeply appreciate is he's reinstating all the soldiers that got
that was
good. With back pay.
That was good.
And that's deserved. Thank you. And another important part of that, Mark, is not only would be back pay, but I'm assuming that they will also get time and grade, because it's very important. Because in the military, you have to have X amount of time before you can get a promotion to a new rank. And they've been kicked out for 3 years or whatever it is, and technically might not be eligible for the next rank when they go back in unless they have that time and grade.
Well, somebody should check on this in the chat, because I think Lloyd Austin did this 2 years ago, but I'm not sure. If anyone in the chat knows, please comment down below.
Okay. Well, and you can also confirm what I'm saying about time and grade.
I don't know about it either. Yeah.
Because that's very important. Fletcher Boy gave us $9.99. And
99999 Fletcher Boy.
Fashionably very late fee. Trump just pardoned Ross, which is awesome. Excellent. Thank you. And Amy Thompson with a $1 super sticker. Thank you. Lee Dorsey, do you think the price of food can realistically drop to 2020?
Yes.
It can get closer. I mean,
I think it's going to drop because of the energy prices. That's why.
That's the
reason it went up, was energy. I mean, it was immediate. It was obvious. It was the price of fuel for delivery trucks.
Shipping. Yep.
Yeah, it's all about shipping, and he knows that. I mean, come on.
Well, not only that, but Mark, if he does seize control, even if he's not getting control of the Panama Canal, the pressure on them to lower the rates. So that's going to lower prices.
Well, let me just ask them, people out there in the country, please tell me the prices of your eggs. Because I went to Walmart the other day, there was 2 dozen eggs in there. They were $12 a dozen. Then I went to Amazon. Every single brand of eggs was sold out. I then went to Bristol Farms and finally got 2 dozen eggs. Tell me about your eggs around the country. I'm curious if people can comment down below.
I could tell you about mine. You won't like it.
I'm not asking you, Hunley. I said the people around the country.
Well, too bad. Anyway, I got 2 18 packs of eggs.
Oh, here we go.
Sunday.
You know what? You're a living Doge. That's what you are. Your dream, people dream to be firemen. Hunley's dream is to be part of Doge.
There you go. Well, the 18 pack of eggs was about $3.90 with a 70-cent coupon. So about
maybe it hasn't hit your area yet.
I know, that's why I get 2 18 packs. Because
well, good luck hanging on to that.
Yeah, I eat eggs. MK Ultra, did you see he pardoned Ross Ulbricht? We did. Thank you very much. I think that's 20 euros. So thank you. Debbie O. JD was not a senator at the time of Rubio vote. He was VP. Only 99 senators at time of vote. Both replacement senators sworn today after Rubio vote. There we go. Rubio voted yes.
Well, for himself. He voted yes for himself?
Why not?
Okay, so who's the missing senator?
JD Vance.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because Rubio wasn't replaced until he became the press secretary.
So
and JD Vance.
I just want to say something. Do you think it would be manly to simply abstain from voting for yourself?
I don't know. That'd be weird. Well, then that would be 98-0.
98-1-0.
No, 98-0. I think abstention.
No. Abstention goes as a 1 up on the board. By the way, did anybody?
No, a 1 is against. 90. It's 4 against, and then an abstention.
What's an abstention?
I think it's 0. I think an abstention is I didn't vote.
But there's no recording of.
Well, there's 98 votes. One person didn't vote, so you don't record it. It just
so no history of the United States has a record of abstentions.
I don't believe so.
It doesn't make
Comment
any sense.
below.
Comment below. Anybody see the Philly game? One of the craziest games I've seen in years in a blinding snowstorm in Philadelphia. Crazy, great game, very entertaining. I didn't have a dog in the hunt as a Packer fan, but a damn good game. A snow bowl. Just off the cuff, just saying.
Cool. All right. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Gender ideology. Okay. Here we go. Withdrawing from the World Health Organization.
Good one. Well, his beef was that they charged us $500 million, and China only had to pay $39 million, and they had twice as many people as us, and that was his beef. And he said that Biden should have gone back in for $39 million, the same price as China, but he paid $500 million again like a schmuck. He could have gotten back in for 39. It was driving Trump crazy.
I can imagine. Let me see. An executive order to end the catch and release policy.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Executive order restoring the Remain in Mexico. And this is a big one. Rescinding the order allowing transgender troops to serve in the military.
Rescinding the order that allowed them to serve. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
An executive order.
Hold on. Is that active combat or military service?
Serving, period.
Wow.
Whether combat or otherwise.
That's bold. So it's a no tranny zone.
Correct.
Absolutely no trannies.
Correct.
Oh, man, that's going to go to the Supreme Court.
Dude, they used to have no gays. Remember Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, who's going to implement that? That Joint Chief of Staff, George Floyd lover? I don't know how this gets. Who's the guy? I guess Hegseth.
Well, oh yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
Hegseth, definitely. But by the way, Hegseth brought up a really valid point that I didn't consider. We've had a part of the reason that the trans soldiers, etc., are supposedly let in is because our recruitment numbers are low.
Yeah.
Hegseth's argument is if you don't run this like a piece of shit, your recruitment numbers are going to go through the roof because people will want to serve under Donald Trump. They will want to serve
definitely
in a fixed, straightened out military. And I think he's 100% right.
They even said they were getting rid of white male soldiers. So that eliminates 72% of the country. So, I mean, they did it to themselves. If you're going to say, we're only going to take Chinese people or we're going to take Italian people, Italian Americans, you're going to have the same problem.
Right. So I think that our military.
We're not taking white Christians, Eric?
I don't know.
That's essentially what they were saying, because
Definitely
remember
not taking your Jews.
yeah. No, Jews don't like to serve in the military, but the Israeli ones are pretty harsh.
Yeah, they are. All right, libs of TikTok. Let me see. Sorry. Executive order revoking the security clearance, as we talked about.
Good
Hunter
one.
buying laptop.
And there's chicks in there.
The Gulf.
The Gulf of America.
For cartiographers everywhere, you get it going. You know what?
Sorry.
I meant to do a Google map earlier to see if it's already reflected online, because I mean, think of how quickly it can be changed. With mapping
online, in 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if it goes into effect.
What about every history book? Every single thing, throughout history says Gulf of Mexico.
Well, what about all the books that say USSR? It doesn't exist.
Well, they say former Soviet Union now. I mean, they put in former. So
now they just say Russia.
Yeah. Well, no, right. Yeah, but I've seen former Soviet Union too. I've seen both.
Yeah, but what about Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia? And I'm just saying that this is a big one, but the map is changed, and I kind of like it. You look at the globe; it's like, Czechoslovakia was the thing.
Serbia,
now it's three
Serbia
countries.
And Croatia, Eric, right? Serbia
right,
and Croatia.
So this is, to me, just the same thing.
Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Yeah. Let me see. An executive order suspending U.S. foreign assistance for 90 days pending reviews. Nice.
Foreign assistance to everyone?
Apparently.
Wow. That's a bold one.
Just pausing, though. I think it's a good way to do it. So anyway, that's a perfect way to kind of wrap up on everything that he's done. But wow, what a day. I mean, that's a lot of work. Obviously, he's been spending months or years devising all the plans to do a shock and awe.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's done it.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of help with America First, that movement, Stephen, what's his name, out of Santa Monica, and all his other Stephen Miller and all his other troops that have been out there keeping the fires warm for 4 years while they devise these plans,
Yeah, 100%. Oh, we've got a monthly supporter on Rumble, iCare22. Thank you. I don't know how the Rumble support monthly works. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Raina on Rumble said, did you hear Trump's presser talking about AI and freaking mRNA vaccine for cancer? That's something. I'm not surprised. Trump really, Operation Warp Speed was not Biden, guys. Just want to say he didn't come up with it. David Parsons, bird flu is causing egg shortage. Dead hens don't lay.
No, I agree. I'm just wondering why it didn't hit Hunley's village yet. Here it's been, it just hit, not the bird flu, but the results economically of the eggs. So it's like, holy shit.
Because I think you have more bullshit around you. Like here, I think there's probably more farmers near me that probably didn't have, and it hasn't come into effect. Like you have so many taxes and so many things that cause any blip to magnify immediately.
I don't know. This was Walmart. So, I mean, Walmart is national. They could ship eggs anywhere they want. But the Walmart eggs, what there were of them in that Walmart. Now, this was all the way down in San Clemente. And then Amazon is also national. They didn't have any eggs in Amazon groceries. So it's both high cost and shortage.
Well, when you say Amazon, do you mean Whole Foods, or is it literally labeled Amazon store now?
It's Amazon now has their own line of food that they not only did they buy Whole Foods, but they also have Amazon Basics and Amazon Groceries of their own. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know, but you're buying it in Whole Foods, though, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's Amazon Groceries. There's 4 different categories of Amazon Groceries. There's Bristol Farms, there's Fresh, there is Whole Foods, and there's a 4th one under the umbrella of Amazon Groceries.
Jesus, wow.
No, it's enormous. It's enormous.
All right, well. See, and that's I don't know regionally how it, like here we have Whole Foods, which is Amazon, but that's insane. Randy H with $10, thank you. And Kevin Patrick with $5, thank you. And we are going to be shifting over to locals. where we will continue the conversation. We have an after party. A lot of people are over there right now. They've been leaving tips, things like that. I hope you guys consider. You can follow us there for free, just like you can always subscribe here for free. We may actually cross 120,000. It could happen. It could happen as soon as today. I hope you consider doing that.
Hey, how's the sound spectrum, bitches? They didn't comment on the sound this week. All of a sudden, they crawled back into their cubby holes.
Mark is feeling as though it's because Mark not only got a new system, he got a new microphone. So we brought Mark into the 21st century.
Hey, guess what? Mark fled under the guise of a fire with his clothes and didn't take his entire system with him. Fuck Mark. I wanted to thank everyone who sent out prayers, by the way, while we were fleeing the fire zone. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. There is a locals link, folks, who are asking about it, whether you're on Rumble or here. Right down in the description under the part of the show, it should be the first thing saying, on locals with a private chat and an after parties right there in the description.
Oh, can you tell them about the commercials, like the people who don't want to see commercials, how they can get to locals?
Well, if you happen to go to locals, this episode, again, down in the description, is playing simultaneously on locals and will continue to be there. And if you watch the replay after they finish it, whatever,
it's not going to matter because they're never going to get this far. We should say that.
No, don't follow us. They'll click it. They'll click it. Trust me.
No, but I'm saying the people who are complaining that there's too many commercials are not going to watch the entire episode to get this information.
Okay. Well,
we should say it at the beginning of the show.
Okay. Well, and if we don't, you know what? Maybe people comment below. Those who are complaining, and if we don't catch it, maybe you can tell them, hey, go to locals, no ads.
Right. But if we say it at the beginning,
okay,
it might be helpful to a person who tunes in and sees the commercials and then hears us say you could watch the whole show without commercials. We should remind ourselves to say it at the beginning is all I'm saying.
All right. We've already got a complaint about the sound here. Unbelievable. From
What's
Dustin.
wrong with the sound?
Something's wrong with the sound. It's coming in too crisp and clear.
It's muddled, right? It sounds muddled, doesn't it?
Anyway, everybody, head over to locals. We will see you there. It's always a good time.